All right, I am sitting down with Sam Walker. Sam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's awesome, man. Really appreciate it. On your Instagram profile, what is your tagline? I think it's awesome.
Comedian, actor, prostitute.
That's great. Dude, I love the balls. Just putting it right out there. It's so fucking funny.
It's not even a joke.
It's the thing, right? I saw you like a few nights ago, and the second you came on stage, like most people weren't having a good night that night. The second you came on stage, I was already laughing. Kind of, you've got the kind of look, which is like hilarious, which you've already kind of won. Was that something you developed over time, or is this how you are?
You know what? I've been getting comedians come up to me after shows and stuff like that, and they're like, "I really like your costume. It's really," and I'm like, "Costume? Like these are my clothes. Yeah. This is what I wear. This isn't a costume." Per se, and anytime I go on stage, I'm ready to die. These are the clothes. I'm gonna die with my boots on.
Nice.
So it's always kind of had that natural reaction. People have always laughed at me in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, right, okay.
And I do have that energy.
Yeah.
But it isn't like me contriving it, going, "This will make the people laugh. This is what's funny." It's just,
so this is you. I mean, it's you. You've turned up today. Yeah, that's awesome.
100%. Yeah.
I like it. As soon as I saw the leather jacket, I was like, mate, I'm in 100%. And the material was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. Is it something you've developed slowly over time, the material? Were you always that way? I mean, you said it's not an act, so.
Yeah, there's a few in there that are straight up like not even jokes, and people laugh uproariously at them, and I always I'm smiling on the inside, like just going, if you only knew.
You only knew the truth, right?
Yeah, and I started out, it'll be January, February, March. In March, it'll be 5 years since I started writing my first 5 minutes. And I'm not going out there to be shocking or on the edge, but this is the stuff that makes me laugh.
Right.
Makes my friends laugh.
Yeah.
And if I was to pay money to go to a comedy show, this is what I'd want to be hearing. And it's translating, but people are thinking that I'm doing this just to rattle the cage. And it's no matter what. I've always been walking that line, trying to find that edge.
Yeah.
Always. And with comedy, it's really, there are no rules.
Yeah.
If you're getting laughs and it's funny, then that's all there is to it.
Yeah. For sure, it's interesting, isn't it? Do you ever get any kind of pushback on it? Or did it always go well, kind of thing? Because it's kind of edgy humor at times, which is kind of, I don't like saying that because it kind of mischaracterizes what the act is. People get like an image in their head of what it can be. The only way to understand what Sam Walker's act is like is to go and see. I mean, you got some stuff on YouTube, but there's nothing like seeing.
Yeah,
you
fairly minimal, and that's on purpose because I don't want to blow my wad. Yeah. I want you to come see it. Like, you have to leave your house.
Yeah.
You have to leave the comfort of your couch and your TV and actually come out and experience something with a group of people.
Yeah, it's so different to watching like any comedy special at home. I mean, I think you lose about 50%, maybe more through a camera.
Yeah, easily. And that's the thing is, with a live audience, it's never the same thing twice.
Right.
And the show never is. It's like I call it game day.
Yeah.
These are game day situations where, these people showed up here on this time, and you're ready with this stuff, and this is what you give them. Yeah. And it can change night to night. It's never the same thing twice. So it's a communal experience. Yeah, it is.
It is crazy how, like, I've been doing it about a year now, so I'm really, really new, but for me it's like, I can't believe how some nights something will work and then the next night people look at me like they fucking hate me, Yeah. How long does it take to get used to that? Do you ever get used to that?
No, you don't. And there's never a hard and fast rule of like, this is guaranteed to kill in this room. I've gone into some places where I was expected to be like, oh, this is your audience, you're going to kill, and then have arguably the worst set of my career up to that point. And then vice versa, have the best set of my life. Back-to-back nights.
You can never tell, can you, with which crowd?
No. An example is I did a swingers club.
Oh, shit.
And the owner really liked me and had me headline the maiden voyage, which is a big honor, you know.
The maiden voyage, is that what they...
Yeah, it was the first show that they had done.
Is that swingers talk?
Doing their... Yeah.
So they'll call it... It's like they're launching a ship, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I was the captain that night, and there was 100 people when I started, and by the time I finished a half hour later, there were 50 people left in the room.
Now, were they just going off to get started with the real party, or were they like, I'm sick of this? Like,
no, they were leaving the premises.
Oh shit! So you kind of halved the
walked them. Yeah.
So you were the opening act for a swingers night.
No, I was the comedy portion of the evening.
Okay, cool. So that wasn't right at the top of the...
Yeah, like the evening started out with a comedy show, and then after the comedy show was over, it devolved into whatever it becomes.
Okay.
Afterwards, I wasn't welcome there because my date didn't show up that night, so I was a single guy at a swingers club.
Yeah, that's not not allowed, right?
Social poison.
Isn't it that like that you have to? Isn't it like women get in for free? I mean, I've never actually been to one, but I've spoken to people that go. Or women have to bring guys along, or is it just that you have to have any kind of date? You can't just be one person.
Women are always welcome
Yeah.
at the swingers club.
What the fuck is that all about?
Yeah, I thought they wanted equal rights.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we've still got work to do, but yeah, the etiquette is bring a partner.
Yeah.
And it's like being naked at the nude beach. When you're there, you can look, and they can look back, and it's a nice time. Whereas, I agree, if a guy like me shows up and I'm lurking in the shadows like I do, it can maybe ruin somebody's concentration.
Yeah. Fuck.
Not have a good enough time.
So did you have to leave after the set, or were they let you?
I stuck around for a bit, just shaking hands and talking. But yeah, that was the thing, right? Is there's like guys kind of eyeing me up, and it's like, look, pal, I don't want to fuck your girl.
Yeah.
I just want to watch.
Yeah. Oh, really? So guys get... I've never been to one, so you're going to have to talk me through it. I know people will be interested. Guys are looking at you, if you're not coming with a chick, they're looking at you like, what are you bringing to the table, kind of thing.
Yeah, you're just basically hounded out of the building. It's fairly obvious. And for the most part, a lot of the people there, you don't want to see them naked anyway. Like, it's not glamorous porn. These are like kind of every people from all walks of life. And all physical capabilities.
All physical capabilities?
Yeah, there's some people that are capable of doing incredible feats of daring and strength, and others that can't even touch their toes.
Right, okay, yeah. That's probably the opposite of comedy then. Comedy's better live, whereas, I mean, because I'm always up for like amateur kind of porn stuff. But I suppose when you're actually there, I'm like, this is better through a lens or through a TV.
People are putting on a show.
Yeah.
I had one of the other comedians, he stuck around and got the full meal deal because he had a date.
Oh, okay.
And it was cool, but very interesting. It's a lifestyle choice, and it's definitely not for everybody. But that was kind of where they figured I would fit in, and I did not. Who knew there would be so many prudes at a swingers club?
Yeah.
Very, very surprising, right? So it never ceases to amaze me. Like, even in that kind of hyper, there's no censoring on this, eh? Like,
no,
we're all good. Yeah, it was like, there's all sorts of levels of like what you're cool with at a swingers club, and so there's hierarchies of like what goes and whatnot. And it's like, I'm the guy that wants to bring in the snake and fuck it or something like that, right? Like, it's like, let's push these boundaries.
Let's
like,
see how far we can go.
Hey, we're not living within the bounds of society. Let's really... I'm into that Noah's Ark kind of deal.
So you ran into, you say prudes there? So tell us, what are the prudes like at swingers parties?
They all left when I was on stage. I dressed up for them too. Like, that night I wore a costume, but it's stuff that I wear on the regular if the audience can handle it, like tights and stuff like that. Like, if I could navigate society and wear that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff I'd wear. It's comfortable.
That's awesome.
It dries real quick, but society in general, it can't handle that kind of, like, it just short circuits people's brains. And they
even nowadays, though, aren't people more open, especially in Toronto?
They say they are.
Right.
They absolutely say they are, but they are absolutely not. This is a very judgmental part of the country.
Yeah.
They talk a big game, but they're full of a lot of horse shit, as
Yeah.
we say out west.
Yeah. So you not originally from Toronto?
No, I've been out here on tour for the last 2 months, opening for Jason Rouse on the No Gods, No Masters tour.
Nice.
And for those unfamiliar with Jason, he's a pioneer in Canadian comedy. Been doing this for about 20 plus years. Came up with Russell Peters and those boys, and the most metal comedian on the planet.
Yeah.
The most dark and dirty Canadian.
Nice.
In comedy history to come out of Canada. And yeah, he discovered me out in Calgary. Wow, there was a lot of stuff came together, and I got to open for him, and we hit it off. And then he kind of took me under his wing and got me some big opportunities out here. And I opened for him for a month last year, about a year ago, out here. And it was my first tour of Ontario. It was my first time in Toronto.
Sick.
And we really tore it up, man. We were having like nights where 30 plus people walking out on a regular basis.
Oh, dude, that's great.
And the next night sold out, like turning people away at the doors. And we had some real, some real wild shows. And then the next year he was like, No Gods, No Masters, let's do it. And
Yeah.
it started out in Europe. For a month out in Europe.
Oh, cool. Where did you go in Europe?
Sweden and Denmark.
Nice. Good choice.
Oh man, I'd never been to Europe before. It was my first time.
Cool.
And it was wonderful. Great time, great shows. My stuff translated.
Yeah.
Across. This wasn't like local. I had to change like three words in my set, and that was Zamboni, because that's a brand name out here, and in Sweden they call it an ice leveling machine.
Okay.
Gerbil. You didn't know what a gerbil was.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you find that out during a gig?
Yeah, it just kind of didn't hit a couple of times, and it usually does. And then I changed it to ferret, and I got it.
Even better.
Yeah, exactly. But I changed it back for when I'm in North America, because
Yeah.
I was doing ferret, and it just wasn't as funny.
Yeah.
And gerbil's getting the laugh.
Well, you get the
these days.
Richard Gere gerbil thing, don't you, when you hear that? So.
Yeah, the old urban legends.
It's weird how they translate differently, because who removed their bottom two ribs to blow themselves over here?
Oh, that was Marilyn Manson.
Oh, right. For us, it was Prince. So the same thing happens, and it gets applied to different people. So I only heard the Richard Gere gerbil thing through South Park.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I heard about someone else, but yeah, the ribs always kind of. I was like, whoa, that's a good idea.
That's great. Yeah, and Prince was just a little guy too.
Yeah.
You need the help.
Yeah, for sure.
Extra flexible. That's hilarious. Whereabouts did you grow up?
So I was born in Coventry, like in the Midlands of England.
Yeah.
I would say if you look at England on a map, I was under the G there, like right in the centre. And then I was back and forth to Iran during the 80s. And then 89, moved when I was 5 to England permanently to go to school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, that's when the bombs started dropping in Tehran, so it was like, let's get out of here. And then at the age 6, moved to Liverpool, and I was there till I was like 30.
So you were a
Liverpudlian, but I don't have the accent. Occasionally you can hear the odd word, but
That's all right. I like your accent. You sound you're a cool looking dude. And yeah, when I saw you the other night at the show, it was nice to get a compliment. I don't mind.
Fuck yeah, that show was awesome, because everyone was having a rough time that night, and there was a lot of laughter fatigue as well. It's set in, and you came up and killed it, and I thought, fuck yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I've been having a really interesting time on this tour. Like on the weekends, I'm working the Yuck Yucks circuit, which Yuck Yucks is the Canadian national brand across the country. Big honor to work for them.
For sure.
And so No Gods, No Masters with Rouse is that's what we're running, is through the Ontario clubs out here. But on weekdays, I'm in Toronto, and I've just been trying to get up as many stages as possible and just kind of running around and seeing what's out there. And it's been really interesting. I've really kind of been having I'm on a hot streak with my sets, and I've been doing small crowds. Like I've been going in, and there's like sometimes there's only like a handful of people in there, and the other comedians are in there and they're talking about how small the crowd is and giving up. Essentially, like they're going like, oh, I don't know, what do you guys want to talk about? It's like, you're a comedian.
Yeah.
You don't ask the audience what they want to talk about. This is comedy. It's not about consent.
Yeah.
All right? We're here to have a good time, and we're here to tell you what's funny, not the other way around.
Right.
And I think that's a big mistake that comedians coming up, they're writing for the audience, and this is for you. The audience is, they can catch up.
Yeah, so you only ever went with what you found funny, right?
Yeah, I never pander to the audience. If you don't like it, that's just as good as loving it for me.
Yeah, you want it like... My stuff, generally, people either love me or hate me. And I haven't had people walk out, but if they did, I'd be like, that's as good. Yeah. It's like there's a show in Vegas. I went to Vegas last year, and there's a show called... What the fuck is it called? Weed memory for you. Absinthe is what it's called, and it's outside Caesar's Palace, and you got Caesar's Palace and the most ridiculous looking casino of all time. It's huge, right?
Yeah.
And then outside they've got this tiny little circus tent, and you go in there, and anyway, the reason we went was because we heard that like people leave every night. They walk out every single night. People walk out, and we're like, fuck yeah, we want to go to that. And it's up close, acrobatics, that kind of stuff, but they'd have a few stand-up sections, and they just go on the racial stereotypes so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like there'd be an Asian woman in the audience, and they'll be putting on the accent and saying, oh, have you been doing people's nails all day? And then for the rest of the night, she's referred to as Chinese lady, no matter where in Asia she came from. It was just so good and so refreshing. And the few people who left, they're about to just go and, basically do the marketing for you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah. And Yuck Yucks does not frown on Jason and I's walkouts at all. They pride themselves on an uncensored show.
Well, they just had Louis back.
Yeah, the owner and founder of Yuck Yucks, Mark Breslin, won the Order of Canada for the protection of free speech in this country. Really? And this is Canada. Let me tell you. This is a Commonwealth country, and we do not have free speech out here.
No.
This is not America.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think, like, they get all wrapped up in politics and what's going on, and they think that we're running in the same game. No, absolutely not. What we do on stage on any given night, we can be arrested for public indecency, or even if you go back far enough into the law books, they're blasphemy laws and whatnot. Right. And I'm waiting for that. My goal in life is to go to jail for telling a joke.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that line. I'm not actively trying, but it's kind of written in the stars that that's where I will go eventually once I get the profile in the right place at the right time. I will drop that.
Fuck yeah,
and, man. That's definitely where I want to
I'm 100% with you, man, on free speech. We don't have it in England at all. I mean, this is why I'm trying to get to America. I want my First and Second Amendment rights. I think they're rights. Yeah. I want to be able to defend myself, and I want to be able to say whatever. The most important thing, I want to be able to say what the fuck I want without worrying the government's coming after me.
The dream, man. The dream. It really is.
How can it be the only country in the world where you're guaranteed those?
Yeah, and everybody talks the most shit, and it's just like, what if you take off your shirt? What have you done with your life?
Right.
I want to see.
Yeah.
And these people that are critics, I can't stand that. I hate this. I don't hate, that's too strong a word, but I definitely despise the culture that's out there of this piling on.
Oh, yeah.
And taking somebody down. Like, you don't know what it's like to try and endeavor creatively in this world.
Yeah.
And to criticize somebody's art and effort.
Yeah, I mean, sit down and write a review about a movie or a stand-up set or whatever from your keyboard, and then get up on stage and bomb 30 nights in a row, and still get back up.
Those are a bomb for me is a badge of honor amongst comedians. Because a lot of people will never recover from it. And I don't bomb very often, but when I do, it is absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
Absolutely glorious. And I'm gotten to a point where I'm just really comfortable, no matter whether you like me or not. You're getting a show.
That's awesome. That's definitely where I want to get to. I'm getting more comfortable. I did a show, Coin Street West, the other night, and there's only about 12 people in there. And it wasn't going well, but I'm getting comfortable now, just being in the moment and just looking.
Yeah.
And not speeding onto the next kind of Joe. I'm like, okay, this isn't that bad, you know.
Yeah, definitely taking your time, because people panic up there, and being comfortable in the silence.
For sure, yeah.
That kills guys all the time, guys and girls. They can't handle not getting reacted to, especially in a smaller setting. And so they'll speed up and just like try and get it, and it's just like, no. Slow it down. It doesn't matter whether it's 3 people or 300. You do give them the same.
Well, that's something I learned from your show the other night. I was of the, you know, because I'm still fairly new to this, I was of the, this is, you know, a quiet night. Like, I never say bad crowd, because I know they don't really exist. You can always make someone laugh, especially if they're tired. Sometimes that's the funniest ever. But you came in and murdered, and I thought, these are all just excuses. It's all just bullshit. It is. Yeah, it's... they don't find it funny, fine, but you can't ever blame the audience, I guess. Yeah, and when I've been doing shows out here, and sometimes there's like 3 or 4 actual audience members. I don't count the comedians as audience necessarily, but my threshold kind of for a show is 10 actual audience members. If you can get 10 people laughing, they can fill the room with laughter. Yeah, sounds pretty good. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Just back on the free speech, though, I wanted to talk to you about this. Do you hear about the Guy Earl thing that happened in Vancouver?
Oh, that's the 2 ladies were heckling the comedian, and he let them have it with both barrels, and then suddenly they got awfully sensitive.
Yeah, it was at an open mic as well.
So no money involved. No, probably not even a free beer. This is Vancouver.
Right. It's excuse me, and then he went to the Ontario Human Rights, the Toronto Human Rights Tribunal over jokes. I mean, this is a comedy show. It's open mic.
Yeah.
You know what you're signing up for when you go in there. These are people trying stuff that, you know, most of it isn't even going to survive their act. And 15,000 overall. They got 22,500. So the extra $7.5 grand came from the restaurant. So it's hitting the restaurant and the comic.
That's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And that's what this country has become, and people don't even have a clue. They just bury their heads in their phone and in the sand and keep walking on. Like, that is completely atrocious.
Yeah.
And wait till I get back to Vancouver. Let's make it 50 grand. I'll take 2.
You should go to the same restaurant and be like, hey, heard about your recent troubles. I'm here to clear the air. It's interesting because, you know, I've been all over the world the past 7 years, and just noticing the slight differences in laws. So you wouldn't think Australia to England would be that different, but just between states and Australia, a slight change in the law, and it's a completely different.
I've heard stories.
Oh yeah,
from over there. Yeah,
you do really well.
It's just like, well, just about what kind of a lifestyle people are leading, and what way the country's going as far as monitoring their citizens with driving.
You've never seen anything like it, like Australia, for this stuff. The amount of government you run into is insane. It's insane.
Yeah. How are you? I don't want to get too deep into it, but Canada recently legalized marijuana.
Right.
And I am, once again, completely disgusted with it. It's made weed more illegal since it got legalized.
How so?
First off, what head out there is buying any government weed?
Right.
At all. The government can't legislate their way out of a wet paper bag.
Right.
And in this province alone, they lost $44 million selling drugs. Impossible.
They made a loss on it.
100%.
Well, it's the government. They can't do anything.
They can't do anything right. And putting them in charge of weed has totally, it's diluted the quality that's out there available to the public. And then it drives everything underground even more. And then now with that it's legalized, bylaw officers and whatnot can start poking their big noses around in places where they never had any business to be there before.
Because it was kind of... Everyone smoked here anyway.
Yeah, nobody gave a rat's ass.
Yeah, and you never really... I mean, are people getting arrested? Were people getting arrested, really?
No, it's totally not worth the police time to do that. And also, as soon as weed was legalized, one of the caveats law enforcement had with that was they're now allowed to pull you over all day, every day, 24/7, 365 with no reason at all. They can just pull you over.
To see if you're high driving?
Yeah, whatever. They can check your registration, do a vehicle inspection on you if you want, have a conversation with you. But yeah, there's no more probable cause on.
Why do they go together? I don't understand. What's the reason?
Because law enforcement is keeping us safe.
Right.
And that was part of the thing of them losing control of, weed's now been legalized. Well, we need more control to keep you safe.
Oh, I see. All right.
And so, yeah, that was one of the things that went through with this. So I feel like the country is less at a loss, and I'm disgusted by it. I've been using that word a lot in this podcast, but it's a
good word.
It is, and it's how I feel.
Yeah, for sure
about this.
It's because I came here 2016. Went to a place called Canna Clinic. I spoke to a healthcare professional on an iPad. I said, hey, these are my symptoms. They were like, hey, I prescribe weed. So then I go back there and all of a sudden there's rap music playing and I'm picking. Now they've been closed down. Like a load of places have been shut down. Yeah. Are we going to get like a... Because I always joke when I tell people what Canada's like. I'm like, if you want to drink booze, you've got to go to the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. What says party more than the inebriation station down the road? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I could call it inebriation station. I like that.
Anything that rhymes, I love.
That's what they should call it. You know what? Just as a word of note, I have not darkened the doorway of an LCBO since I've been out here. And I absolutely refuse to. Government-run liquor stores, I spend a lot of time at bars and stuff like that, and so I'll spend my money at the bar, 500% markup because I like the place.
Yeah,
and I'll drink my beers there.
Yeah,
but I will not. Yeah,
Liquor Control Board of Ontario. You know they're tracking everything you do when you go in there. Sam's bought some more liquor. What's going on? Let's pull him over.
Where are my pupils dilating the most? Oh, Pilsner. He likes that.
Crazy. Yeah, it's Australia is, they're basically, America are the people that left England because fuck the king. Australia are our convicts. And you go there and they're like 200 years behind. Everywhere you go, they are so anti-drug. It's insane, and everyone's fucked up constantly. Yeah. People drink so much. You go into a bar and you get like the third degree, and it's just like, how many beers you had, mate? And you're like, I don't know. Why don't you know? You fucked up. And you're like, no, I just didn't expect you're going to be crawling up inside my asshole to get into a bar. Every place scans ID. So they're
right. So they want to see if you've had too many before.
Too many to drink. Yeah, so it's similar to your smart serve here, but it's such a weird power trip. I went to a Soundwave festival, huge metalhead. I went there and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take acid before I go. I'm not going to take anything in with me at all. Went the first day, it was absolutely fine. Second day I went back, I didn't take my ID with me because I've got my wristband. I needed to have the over 18. Went there and literally it was harder than getting on a plane. There was like huge hall and it was like guy with a dog, guy with a dog, guy.
Oh my God.
Constantly. And then I went up and they were like, you got your ID? I'm like, no, I've got this. I was here yesterday.
I don't want to lose it in the mud.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to go and watch Slipknot in there, for fuck's sake. And then they go, no, you can't come in, you got to go back and get it. I'm like, dude, Non-Point are about to go on stage. I wanted to see him forever. And he goes, there's fucking licensed bars in there, mate. I'm like, dude, I'm out of my mind on acid. I don't need it anyway. I had to go all the way back, miss the band. It was it was bullshit, yeah. But that's Australia for you. So, coolest place ever for the people, but their government is so, it's so out of control.
Yeah, I heard about driving, like they got cameras there everywhere.
Yeah,
and
average speed cameras, everything.
Yeah, you just get taxed to death, right?
How about this though? So you got the LCBO here. Over there, they call it the bottle house, it's the bottle store. But they have drive-through bottle stores. So they're like, don't drink and drive, cunt. But then when you drive through a bottle store, it's like, oh yeah, I'll just have these in the car. They're encouraging you to drink and drive.
Yeah, that's what absolutely blows my mind is things like alcohol and cigarettes are available on every corner in the world.
Yeah.
For the most part, maybe not in your home country so much.
Now you can get them everywhere. In England, if you want cigarettes in England, you have to go... they're not advertising anyway. There's like a roller shutter thing, so they have to slide that up, and then it's like images from Saw on every package.
Same deal out here, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy markup on top. If you want to go buy cigarettes in Australia, you're looking like $30 for a pack of 20.
For a pack of 20 darts.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And it's parity with the Canadian dollar. So yeah, imagine how much are they out here?
Yeah, I think it's like under 20 for a pack, but for like a good brand, you're probably looking at $15 to $17.
Yeah.
And then if you want to smoke camel shit, it's probably about $10 a pack. Or you go to the reserves out here and buy the bootleg stuff.
Reserves?
Yeah, the Indian reserves.
Oh, you got them here as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
What country worth its salt hasn't dabbled in a bit of genocide?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So, cool. I'm going to check one out. And they sell their own cigarettes. They're not taxed, I'm imagining.
Well, they also they smuggle them in across the water.
Cool.
And in incredibly powerful speedboats that are faster than the police.
Nice.
And they sell smokes and cheap gas. And I imagine any other type of contraband you want to get, they got it out there because this is Canada.
Yeah.
Smaller scale, like we're like a lower budget America, but we still got the same tastes and wants and needs. Just not the population.
Yeah, I love getting into when I speak to Canadians. I'm like, you Americans are all the same. And they're like, oh, we're not Americans. I'm like, which continent are you from? And they're like, North America. I'm like, cool, so you're Americans. Just a bit. Yeah. They're like, so you're Scottish then? I'm like, fine. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me at all, you saying that. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I do like it here, but again, it's everywhere I go. I mean, the governments are different everywhere I go, but the best place is where there's less regulation for fun. Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
I went from Vietnam. Me and my buddies did a motorbike trip through Vietnam. We went from there to then Melbourne, and I felt like I was in the future. I was like, what the fuck? The roads are smooth. I thought, wow, this road's amazing. But yeah, with that came, you go to buy 2 ciders or something, and it's like $32 for 2 beers. And you're like,
Jesus.
Fuck, yeah. Get a can of Pepsi or something when you come out in the airport, it's like $6. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I'd be drinking water. They probably charge you an arm and a leg for that even.
Yeah. You want a tap water? All right. Yeah. You been out to Australia?
No, I have not, and that's one of my lifelong travel goals is to make it over there. And I got a passport.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of time and money.
Yeah.
That's what I that's
it's a huge pain in the ass getting there. You're talking like minimum from England like 30 hours unless you want to buy a direct flight, which is going to cost you, half a year's.
Oh, I think I'm going to save the environment and take a windsurfing board over there.
Once you're over there,
been working out, so I should be.
You're close to Southeast Asia though, so I always combine it with going there, and then that's where you can make your money back. You're like, okay, I'm just going to live like a king on a beach.
You got pockets this thick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely another place, and it goes hand in hand with getting out to Australia, is being close to those kinds of places.
Well, that's where they all vacation. They're all like, oh, go to Bali. That's just it's there. It's kind of spring break thing out
Bali.
there.
Nice.
Bali, I know, yeah. You give loads of drunk Aussies. The craziest one though is Laos. They have this. People only go to Laos to do tubing. Which is you get in a big rubber ring. You go down a river, and they have like a load of bars there, which are like mushrooms, coke, all this. People die there once a month. You're like, oh fuck, that's where I want to go.
Yeah, this is my kind of amusement park.
Sick. Yeah, man.
Where's next for you?
Next, so I'm here for a month. So I'm here leaving. So I'm a permanent resident here. So, but I've been away for so long. I'm just spending some more time at home now.
Yeah.
Family getting older, stuff like that. So I've come out for some work, do some shows, and then back to England. I'll be coming out sometime next year, I think. And then I need to do 2 years straight to do citizenship. So
cool.
That'll be happening at some point. Yeah.
And you're gonna go for that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's here and then try to get in the States.
Oh man, the ladies in Canada must really love your accent.
They like the accent, yeah.
Doing all right, you can tell.
It's all right, yeah. Yeah, we should mostly
or the men, I don't know.
I'm mostly just out at shows though, and I don't really stick around to talk to people afterwards. So I just get back and go. Oh yeah. I had I lived and worked in hostels for like 4 years.
Okay.
So I kind of had a great time.
Yeah, ran the gauntlet. Yeah, we all know what goes on there. It's like a swingers club.
Yeah.
Here's a condom and a towel. The towel's for when you don't use the condom.
You don't use the condom. As my friend Yuboa says, you didn't have sex, you had a threesome with a plastic bag. So, what's the fucking point? So you have had pushback on your material, though, we're saying. Yeah, but what's the worst response you've had from an audience member? Like outraged, you know what I mean?
There's so many good stories. On this tour, it's been interesting. We've been breaking new ground. Girls crying seems to be a running theme from some of the shows. Awesome. Crying and walking out. And then,
really?
Yeah, bloody noses too. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, we're getting a couple bloody noses.
As in...
Guys laughing so hard, their nose starts bleeding.
Oh, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, very
that's
cool.
Great. So girls crying in a negative sense or crying laughing?
Oh, both. My highest compliment is when people come up to me after the show and tell me they peed themselves.
Nice.
It's mostly women.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. It's mostly the women peeing themselves. But that's like, yeah, that's my highest. Nice. It's all right. I peed my pants. Aw, thank you.
I had, worst I ever had was I did this gig in London and went to the bathroom afterwards, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, "You're the comic most likely to get punched in the face tonight." I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "By feminazis, if they exist." I was like, "Oh, fair enough." But I went like hard on one subject. Yeah. Rather, I shit on one group too much, whereas you shit on all groups equally, is what I learned at that point. Certainly with my skill set. But did you ever like abandon material?
No, I'm always punching up.
Yeah,
I'm never coming down. Like, I can't stand comedians that are making fun of homeless people and stuff like that. Like,
you wouldn't like my set.
Well, within reason, right?
Yeah.
Like, thinking you're everybody's two really bad decisions away from being on the street.
Yeah,
and that's a fact. So
100%.
You never know what somebody's story is.
Yeah,
some of them it's probably deserved. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
but also there are people that just like get a shitty run, and they were you at one point.
100%.
And then suddenly they're in a hard way.
Yeah, I've been pretty close to it. Like certainly in Australia, it was like no money. I remember a friend of mine, when I was working for accommodation hostel, she bought me new underwear. She's like, "You need these." And I was like, "This is the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me."
That's sweet. And how do you confront the day when you're not wearing underwear and you got a dirty bum?
Yeah.
And you're just not feeling as fresh and as confident. Like, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
You need that kind of stuff.
But yeah, punching up, 100%. Like, if people make mistake, mine is punching down. But what I'm really doing is I'm making fun of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know what you mean, though.
Strongest reactions I get are people actually saying something and walking out. Like in Sweden, I was doing one joke and a girl went, "Just leave," and she got up and ran out. She couldn't handle it, and I get a lot of scoffing, like, or "Oh my God, Jesus!"
Yeah.
And if I hear them loud enough, I go, "Jesus has no part in this room this evening."
That's awesome. Yeah, what were the crowds like in, what was it you went? You went Sweden
and Denmark. Oh, yeah. Sweden was really cool, but very uptight. Society there is very uptight. The shows went great, but my day-to-day living, everyone thought I was a criminal.
Really?
Straight up, yeah. Just walking down the street, especially me and Rouse. Rouse was like kind of beside himself. "You're blowing my cover," and I'm like, "You're blowing mine." Like the two of us. I got the Hollywood lizard, and then me wearing a sheepskin bomber jacket, mustache, and a headband wandering through there. Yeah, they thought we were something else. And it was cool, but couldn't hang around parks, that's for sure.
Did you get to do anything else when you were there? Like, or was it just shows every night? Did you get into any... What's the nightlife like? I've never actually been to Sweden and Denmark.
Yeah, there was... Swedes go to Copenhagen or Denmark to party, to let their hair down. Okay. Because they're so uptight. They try and have a good time, but it's Sweden. They can't. At a house party you can, but as far as being out in general public at the bars, there's security everywhere. Like guys with big, thick necks and neck tattoos and batons and handcuffs at McDonald's, ready to bash your face in at a moment's notice.
Fuck, really? Like McDonald's?
At the grocery store, you name it. It was everywhere. Big stone lions in the streets to block the trucks of peace that sometimes drive through.
Whoa,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and yeah, people don't talk in public when they're walking down the street. Like for an example, we're on the street in the daytime in the afternoon, and there was 100 people on the street, and all you heard was footprints. And then some guy crinkled a bag of chips, and it was like, "Hey, keep it down over there."
Fuck.
Because it was a loud enough noise to draw attention. A chip bag being crinkled.
Literally, someone was pissed that someone.
No,
or was it like...
That was the joke, but we were like, "Whoa, what was that noise?"
Yeah, so people notice the fucking thing.
Yeah, nighttime people are talking. They're a bit loud and boisterous, but that's because they've had a few drinks.
Yeah.
But as far as daytime, day to day, everybody's like, it's like that old Simpsons. Like they start blinking in unison.
Yeah.
I love that sound.
I love that sound. Yeah. Best Simpsons, the steamed hams. The best one I've seen of them is Jeff Goldblum reading it. It's fucking amazing because there's a whole internet thing about steamed ham. It's fucking class. What the fuck happened to that
Classic.
show? Man?
What's your? I haven't watched in a number of years, and I won't. But I still downloaded them all. Yeah. From season 1 to season, let's say 12, 13.
Yeah, 8 is when most of the writers started dropping off, and that's when it started to
What's
change.
your favorite episode of the
Favorite episode of Simpsons, and this is when I saw it, and it still is to this day, is the sexual harassment one.
The gummy Venus de Milo.
We put a infrared, and that is Homer Simpson, we think, rotating in the oven. His body must now be at 200 degrees.
Literally stewing in his own juices.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. And then how they had the clock with the interview, and the clock just...
This is God, Free Jones. Yeah.
Amazing.
Sweet can.
Sweet can.
And that's not even a joke. That is exactly what they do. Hatchet job.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite one is when Homer goes to clown college.
Yeah. It's when he's thinking about it beforehand. He's driving down the road and he keeps seeing crazy accents, but everyone's wearing like a clown costume. It's so funny.
Yeah, that ad had no effect on me at all.
That was it. Yeah. Fuck, man, that used to be so good, that show.
When they all rolled in and they're like doing their little tricks, and then reality flashes in and they're on fire.
They're all on fire. Yeah.
That was one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, what other shows like that you like? You watch Rick and Morty?
No, I never done Rick and Morty, and that's I'm not ragging against it, but there is an awful lot of stuff I just won't watch. I don't watch any stand-up coming out current.
Really?
Yeah, I'll watch Chappelle's special because he's the ultimate king of kings.
Yeah.
But anybody else, I know you're funny. I know you're on the cutting edge, and I know you're sticking it to the man. If I'm going to steal something, I want it to be inadvertent, and I do not want to be taking on tones, subject matter, anything that anybody else is touching. I'll come across it myself.
Yeah.
If it's important to me, it'll come into the act. But I'm definitely not flavor of the week. I want my jokes to be kind of timeless.
Yeah.
And I'm not... I'll joke about maybe a current event here or there, but I am not like giving a weekly, daily show update on what's going on in the world, right? Like,
you worry that you might... Yeah, it'll flavor what you're doing. Yeah.
I want to talk about vast, universal topics.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing, I consider those to be the vast. And it's just like the birds and the bees, man, living and dying. My first year of comedy, I never drank before I went on stage, and I never swore. And I still was branded X-rated on the open mic circuit. And it's like, well, what do you mean X-rated? Like, what did I say? And it's like, well, it's not what you said. It's your subject matter.
Right.
And it's like, what am I talking about? Like, I'm talking about life.
Yeah.
And it's X-rated. And it was fine. I always knew where I was going. I would not be corporate clean.
Right.
That was never my goal or my aspirations. I don't want to be in the same room as you people, and you ain't cool enough to be hearing the jokes anyway. So it's a waste of all our time. And I'm making a living outside of comedy that's very comfortable. So I don't need your money. This isn't the be all end all for me.
Right.
In like, oh, I need to succeed as a comedian to make it in this world. This is the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, it's good if you can do that, right? If you can, because there's two schools of thought. One is comedy's everything, so you give it, you need the money. You're going to do more sets, and you're going to go for it more, and you're going to give more effort. But I make money outside of comedy, obviously, and I'm like, it doesn't need to make me the money, so I can just enjoy it.
Yeah,
I can get my own pace. And
first rule of comedy is it's got to be fun.
Right.
First rule should actually be funny.
Yeah.
But that's a given. But yeah, it's got to be fun. And when you're wallowing in misery and poverty, it's not fun. Especially for me. Like when I was going hard my first couple of years, really trying to like hit as many open mics as stuff like that. And I'm from Alberta, and there's been an incredible economic downturn out there. Like it used to be the gravy train with biscuit wheels, and it really isn't anymore.
Right.
It's getting harder and harder to make a living out there. And so I really I had some extra free time because I was not working, and so I doubled down on comedy and really put a good effort into it. But it also got to a point where it was becoming not fun anymore. And it's like when I'm worried about next month's bills or how I'm going to afford car repairs, stuff like that, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it clogs up your brain, right? And you should be thinking about being funny rather than.
And I'll step back for a month or so and just focus on taking care of business. And I get just as much satisfaction in a day of hard work and making that money and paying my taxes as rocking and rolling and doing comedy. But it's time and a place, and one helps the other. The better work is going, the better comedy is, because then I can alternate. And the busier I am, the more I get done.
Yeah, I find that as well. Yeah. If I'm focusing on just one thing as well, I kind of just get a bit fatigued with it, and it becomes a bit too much. But if I'm working on several different things at once, then I can almost give them more. It's like a shot of attention that I can give to something. So I like working on several things. Yeah.
Time management is key.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is when important things are coming up, you do that, and that's the secret to life, is really being prepared for, especially comedy, being prepared.
Yeah.
Guys that go up there without a flight plan, shall we say, those are the open mic guys, and they'll die 1,000 deaths. And believe me, I love watching a guy die on stage. That is as good as watching somebody do well, because it is a form of human sacrifice.
It is.
And I can appreciate, like, I have the empathy, and I'll usually, like, there'll be somebody at the open mic dying up there, and when they hear that silence, they quit breathing.
Yeah.
And when you're not breathing, there's no oxygen going to your brain, and so you don't jog that memory. And I'll laugh. They'll hear me laugh from the back of the room, and they'll be like, I got to laugh. And they'll fucking move on.
Yeah, they won't.
I'll probably mark that down in the set as like, that one got a laugh. I'll keep that in.
It's weird, isn't it? Remembering to breathe is such a big thing, and you're literally starving your brain of oxygen, and it's just compounding the problems. It's fucked. It's so crazy.
Part of me becoming comfortable on stage. Do you have a background in stage or acting or anything before you got into this?
No. I've done like the closest thing to it was like I was like a tour guide for a few years, so I got used to talking in front of groups of people.
Okay,
But I played in bands as well, but it's drumming, so I did that for like 10, 15 years. So
this guy's mostly in the back. 2 dicks when this is all done.
You're in the background though as a drummer. I always wanted to be the lead singer, but just don't have the voice for it. So
that's a damn shame.
Yeah, the lead singer's that's the best position to be in. Guitarist, lead singer. It's fucking sick.
I heard drummers get laid the most though.
You can do, yeah. Depends.
Yeah,
depends
because they want to hear your voice.
Yeah. Depends on how. But I don't think anyone's ever got laid more than Sebastian Bach from Skid Row in his prime.
Fucking Peterborough, Ontario boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dude, my favourite hair metal band, just heavy metal band ever, really.
Skid Row. I'm Guns N' Roses for life.
For life, okay.
Yeah.
Because they were the alternate to Guns N' Roses at the time.
Yeah, they were like the Canadian version, and they tour together. Hey,
yeah.
I've seen Sebastian Bach a couple of times open for Guns N' Roses. Yeah. 06 in Madison Square Garden.
You saw Skid Row?
I saw Guns N' Roses,
right?
And Skid Row was there.
Was it back in Skid Row then? Yeah.
No, I think he was going. I really don't know.
Yeah, because Back left a while back, but I can't remember exactly when. But I've seen Back by himself.
Yeah.
And I've seen Skid Row without him since.
Okay.
It's not the same.
Oh, it can't be.
It's not.
It can't be. You need that Peterborough attitude.
Yeah.
Coming at you, but
His voice is unreal. It's unfucking real. But yeah, Axl Rose as well.
it really
man.
was. Yeah. And then 2010 in Calgary. I was living in Vancouver at the time, and we flew in and watched it. And the guys did 3 hours.
Fuck.
3 hours. Like that's your money's worth. And
That's insane.
yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see 3/4 of the, or what is it, 3/5 of the original lineup.
Yeah.
That would be a hell of a show.
Yeah.
I saw Velvet Revolver too back in 2005.
Yeah.
And that was incredible, seeing Duff and Slash on stage, and bless his heart, Scott Weiland, man.
Yeah.
These are huge influences on me in my life. As far as when I was growing up, that was who spoke for me. Was what I could see in the mainstream, as far as because it's the 90s. There wasn't an underground scene for me. So Guns N' Roses was like, I liked the way they looked and talked, and they got nothing but vile, putrid hatred in the papers.
Yeah,
anything written about them, and I was just like eating it up.
Yeah. When were you born? What year were you born?
I was born in the 70s.
So yeah, okay.
November of 79.
79. Yeah, I was 83. So you were
okay.
So I was a little after you, because the era that I'd love to go back and be kind of like 18 and drumming for like 4 or 5 years at the time would be kind of Wayne's World, 1992, 93.
Oh, dude, yeah.
That kind of era. But for me,
up.
I got into Smashing Pumpkins and stuff like that
Yeah.
a bit later. And I got into like Skid Row and Metallica and all the rest of them. But yeah, that 90s era of music, oh my God, it was so awesome, and it's just gone.
Yeah, it was. Like, I remember a time where you knew every album that was coming out and every movie, and it was an event.
Yeah.
And it was like a big thing.
Mattered.
Yeah, it did. And now there's just like, I don't even bother keeping up with what's coming out, because it's just such a flood of garbage. And if there is something good in it, I can sift through.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my favorite things about the technology we have now, is I can discover a band from the 90s that I knew nothing about.
Right.
And you know what? In the 90s, you didn't know everything that was coming out, as far as
everything in your group,
bands. But as far as like the mainstream, you
Yeah.
know, when Mariah Carey was putting out a new single and all that stuff. But yeah, you can just go back and sift through and find somebody's whole discography and career that's come and died and is going to maybe come back again.
Yeah.
Of stuff that you couldn't discover because geographically you were isolated, or
Right. We just couldn't afford to buy so many CDs.
Man. Oh,
$15 for a fucking CD. Crazy.
It was 20.
Oh yeah, Canadian.
20 Canadian, and you had to get it at HMV, and you go look in the Metallica section, sold out. You could never get Ride the Lightning. That was an impossible album to get. A punk album, they were charging you $38 for them shits.
Yeah.
Because it was an import or some happy horse shit.
Yeah.
And so when you bought a CD, it was a big deal. And it was like basically your birthday or Christmas, you'd be able to get you get a little bit of money and you'd be able to buy some clothes, and then you had like $40 left over for your media. And so that was 2 movies or 2 CDs or a movie and a CD, and you took forever to make that decision.
And it remember how much it mattered. I remember I did my first work experience at school, and it was my birthday, they gave me like $25 between them. So I immediately, that lunch, I was so excited. I was about 13 or something. Went into town, I bought a new drum skin a new head for my drum, and I bought the Skid Row Slave to the Grind album. And I was like, this is the greatest day ever. You know, I've been wanting that album for so long. And you listen to the whole thing. Like, how often do you do that now?
And over too. And that was the thing too, is you couldn't just like, oh, these guys look cool, I'll buy their album. No, you had to get something that you knew was tried and tested, so you couldn't be on the cutting edge of or taping songs off the radio just to get the single. And
when I realized you could record, like, I just had cassette Walkman with that's how I got through all of Metallica's back catalog.
Sony Sport?
I think it was Iowa. I think it was. Yeah, a bit cheaper, but with the snap-on kind of headphones.
I got my first job delivering flyers in order to buy a Sony Sport. The
How
yellow.
much are you getting paid for that?
I think it came down to like cents. Like you got like the more flyers that were in the package, the more it was, and so it was like 7 cents a bundle. And so, you know, it was decent money for 13 years old.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually I learned the cold hard truth of like, just toss them fucking flyers in the dumpster. Nobody gives a shit anyway.
No one knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deliver a few. Like, oh yeah, I did flyer in once. Yeah. What was your worst job you've ever had? I would ask everyone this.
Worst job I ever had. Oh, you're making money, man.
You ever have to? Because I worked in hostels for a while, cleaning up other people's messes.
You know what? I've done that. I worked at it wasn't the worst job I ever had, but I guess maybe the worst task at a job. Oh yeah, cleaning the men's washroom.
Oh fuck, right.
Let me just be equal here. The women's washroom too. They're pigs, both of them. I don't know what it is about guys need to take a piss, but their pubes exploding all over the rim of the toilet seat.
They've been waiting in there all day, shedding. Unleash that
God,
shit,
buddy.
Fuck.
Yeah,
and you've got to clean that shit up.
Yeah, that was a nightly task that had to be done, and cleaning shotgun shits off the rim. It was gross, but whatever. Rubber gloves. Didn't get pink eye. I'm good.
Yeah, and you get immune to it after a while. You're like, I'm stronger for this.
Yeah, it's really no big deal. In my backpack, I have rubber gloves. Like
you ever get pulled by the police? They're like, what the fuck are these for?
Believe me, they'd have a field day going through my inventory here. But you could shit your pants right now, and I got you covered, bro.
It's good to know.
We're good. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
we can have a good time.
You should always carry spare underwear so you can just abandon a whole set and just be like, have a change of clothes.
Got to change clothes. This is my 24-hour go bag.
Oh yeah.
And so no matter where I am or wind up, I'm always ready to rock.
Awesome.
And out here, it served me well because I'm on the road.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get sidetracked on an evening and end up spending the night at another comedian's place or something.
Yeah.
And then you got a gig the next day, and you don't want to have to worry about getting back to wherever you're staying and repacking. So 24 hours, man.
Yeah, man, I'm the same. I always have everything I need just for one night, just in case.
Yeah.
And then, you plan
Toothbrush.
the rest from there. Yeah. There's a water there for you, by the way, if you need.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I always do. How long do you usually go on these?
Till whenever you're ready. I have to be out of here in like an hour. But we can stay for. Or if you got to go, then we can.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just don't want to overstay my welcome and start boring your listeners with.
No. I just go until we're both pretty much done. So we're opening this place. I like to get so I can clean up.
Yeah.
So we can go for as long as you want.
Gotcha. How long have we been going so far?
So we've been going about 55 minutes.
55 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's start wrapping it up. I just don't want to.
No worries.
I really enjoy the conversation we've had, Massey.
Yeah, man, it's been sick.
You're a cool dude, and
Cheers.
It was really nice to have met you out here because I'm meeting a ton of people. I'm seeing a lot of audience and other comedians and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a cool scene here, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is, and there's a lot of the big hitters have taken off to America. They got their green cards or whatever, and they can start going down there. So there's definitely a vacuum for talent up here. They need the roles filled, and there's a lot of stage time in Toronto.
Yeah, you can do a lot of spots there. It's awesome, and you can get onto decent shows quite quickly. I've noticed, which is cool. Someone will put you on their small show. You do an open mic, then someone will put you on their small show in midweek. Before, like I'm doing 129 on Friday, and when I arrived, I looked and I was like, "Fuck, I'd love to do here. Just have an okay set at someone's, and then all of a sudden you're doing a decent show. For me, that's like a decent sized show. So
yeah." I think in the Greater Toronto area, there's about 72 weekly shows spread across. Like this place is a metropolis. This is for people from other countries. Toronto is basically the Canadian New York.
Yeah,
I am from the Canadian Texas, and BC on the West Coast. That's like the Canadian California.
Yeah.
And that's how I compare it when I'm traveling abroad, just to kind of give like a generalization so people can wrap their head around.
Yeah, because I'm from near Liverpool, but it's just over the water. But yeah, I just say Liverpool.
What's the longest you've ever driven for a comedy gig?
One
One way.
One way, about an hour, I'd say, probably.
Oh,
furthest. That's not very far. I am new. I'm new.
Yeah.
What's why? What? Come on, put me to shame.
Oh man, when I do Saskatoon, which is a province over, that's a 7-hour drive, driving 110 kilometers an hour down a straight road.
For how much time?
For 7 hours.
Yeah.
For a Friday night show, and then the next day I drive back. So basically a 15-hour round trip for one gig.
Actually, to be fair, for one, I do go to London a lot, and that's like 3-4 hours each way. So yeah. I'm used to travel, so it doesn't really bother me. So like, I'm mostly out here for gigs.
You're gonna have to clarify. Are you talking about London, England, or London,
Not
Ontario?
London, Ontario.
Good.
Not this fake
Finally
London that you guys have out here.
Anytime somebody mentions London out here, I'm like, but Massey's got it going on. I know you've darkened the doorway of London, England.
All right. So just before you go, any advice for comics starting out? What advice would you give to a comic starting out now, or someone who's never done it before?
I'd say don't. You're finished. You're dead in the bed, Fred. But if you're starting out, you write 5 minutes of material, and that's 5 minutes worth of material of nobody laughing. If you're up there, you can fill 5 minutes, and you just start working from there, and then you work on a killer 5, as it's known in the business. And you want to be able to have 5 minutes that you can walk into any comedy room in the world and lay that 5 minutes down. That should be your goal starting out. So and when then you go from there.
When you say that you need to have your like killer 5 or type 5, whatever people call it, it's how do you know when you've got that? You say is it like 90% of the time you're getting laughs from it, or what would you?
Yeah, like when 5 minutes, there is no thanking the host. There is no crowd work. 5 minutes is 5 minutes of straight up jokes.
Yeah.
And so everything you say, every word has a purpose and is a joke. You want to be working on your LPMs. That's laughs per minute. And so you want to be getting at least the industry standard of like JFL is every 15 seconds getting a laugh. So it's like
okay. All right, that makes sense.
Around 4 laughs per minute. So you can tell a joke, set up the premise and stuff like that, but you don't want to be walking for a minute to get that laugh.
Yeah.
And so that you keep trimming the fat down and figuring out what works and what doesn't, and keep working on that 5.
You do really well on the Kill Tony podcast. Have you seen that one?
I have heard of it, and Rouse has been telling me about it. He goes and sees that. He lives in LA for 6 months of the year.
They tour a lot as well. I did it when it was in London and Manchester. Because you get a minute, but like you say, if you get a laugh every 15 seconds, then
yeah, man. And that's kind of, if I were to go down there, that would kind of be my avenue in. But I don't take shit, and I don't care who the fuck you are. You start trying to roast me in a public forum, I'm gonna hit back.
That's awesome.
I'm 5-time roast battle champion.
Nice.
In Yuck Yucks, Brett Forte's roast battles in Calgary, the most storied champion of the federation as of right now. And that's usually not my style of comedy, but I took it as a writing exercise and got into it a couple years ago.
Nice.
And really started to. I talk about giving it out, but the audience loves seeing me take it. And if you're up against me and you can't get some decent roasts in, then you ain't shit, and you should be getting out of comedy. Because awesome. Let me tell you, the material is ripe, and I lean into it too. Like I'm all there for the show.
Yeah.
I treat it like wrestling. Stand-up comedy to me is like wrestling. And the better a wrestler you are, the less you actually wrestle. It's all about being on the mic and being physical and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what I'd say to anybody starting out is just rehearse. Don't be up there just trying to pull stuff out of your ass. Sometimes it works, and you can do that, but as a general rule, especially when you only have 5 minutes, and no drinking before the show, no smoking weed. You're not cool enough to be getting high before a show. You ain't these guys that do it for a living.
Yeah.
And I still don't agree with it. I think everybody should, I especially go up stone cold sober.
Yeah.
So that nobody's misconstruing what I say as like, oh, he was just drunk. Nope.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, Sam, thanks very much. It's Sam Walker Live on Instagram, on YouTube as well. comedian, actor, prostitute. Thanks very much for coming on.
Yes, sir. Massey, a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it. Dude, that was awesome. Thanks so much.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.